Moshe, as the winter and fall are approaching, I guess fall before winter, what are
Yes.
some people have allergies, some people have colds. Is there any way to differentiate? Is there anything to prevent all these things from happening?
Um, yes, so definitely, I think that a lot of people suffer from fall allergies, and we're right in it, and we can see the trees in my background here a little yellow already, and getting the fall leaves coming down, and these are signs that number one, we need a lot of patients will come in with allergies, and we'll talk about that in first, I think. And then the second thing is that means that winter is coming and how to prepare our bodies for the winter. These are two really important things. So first thing that we need to talk about um, is the fall allergies. So one thing I want to say is, again, one of the supplements that we use in preparation or during these fall allergies is a product called quercetin. Quercetin is a bioflavonoid. So bioflavonoids are substances that work together with the vitamins. A lot of times we frequently see that when we buy vitamin C, you will say vitamin C with bioflavonoids. So quercetin is a bioflavonoid that has an effect on the immune system, and in fact on the what we call the mast cells, the cells that produce histamine, and it down regulates the histamine response. So in a way, when you take quercetin, on top of it being an antioxidant and very healthy to take, it is a histamine down regulator. So it's basically a natural antihistamine. Um, and I really like a product that's out there that is called D-Hist by, well, the name of the company escapes me for a second, but the product is called D-Hist, and there is a D-Hist Junior, so there's a chewable version of it for kids, which is really easy to take for children. So quercetin is something that you should consider if you suffer from fall allergies, and it is very helpful in the treatment. So I find it very helpful in combination with all the other things that you need to address for addressing fall allergies. So that includes also taking some Chinese herbs. There are very, very effective formulas, and the difference between Chinese herbal formulas and products, for quercetin is pretty much safe for all people who are suffering from anybody who has heightened allergic responses, whether it's through a skin allergy or fall allergies or spring allergies or any allergy or allergic asthma. I put them on quercetin. But when we make a Chinese herbal formula, we need to adjust it according to the constitution of the patient. So coming in, getting evaluated, and fitting the formula is really important. Although there are quite a few herbs that also have that kind of antihistamine effect or histamine down-regulating effect on the system. One really researched one, famous one, is called Zhang Erzi, or Xanthium in Latin. And it is combined frequently in the formulas, although, as I said, you do need to have it adjusted or combined with the right herbs to adjust your to adjust to your issue. Again, when you're having any allergies, that means that phlegm dampness is part. Phlegm and dampness is a Chinese medical diagnosis. So it means that there is more production of phlegm. So you need to look at what we call in Chinese medicine avoiding phlegm producing foods, which include dairy and sugary sweet foods. And so again, your tendency is to eat lighter and that more, again, soups, stews, things that have been cooked and are warm rather than cold salads and sweets and dairy and cheese. Yeah. So the second aspect of it is that when fall is coming, it means that winter is coming. And again, what are the things that you need to sort of prepare for winter? And I think other than, of course, getting some acupuncture, which in a sense can strengthen or make your immune system more effective, and taking some herbs that prepare you for your immune system to be more effective if you get sick. Just to mention, one of the formulas that we usually recommend in preparation for winter is a formula that we call Yu Ping Feng San, which is translated as jade windscreen. It sort of helps the body be prepared and have the immune system be working effectively if encountered with an illness. And we have a version of it in the office that I created that we call Shield, from the idea of shielding our body from illnesses, which combines also a Chinese medicinal that we call, which is a fungi called Ganoderma, and is really effective for supporting the immune system. Also, again, I think at the same time where you're eating more fall foods, you're also in the same aspect preparing the body for the winter. In the winter, we need to make sure that we're eating things that are cooked for a while, that are more stews and more wintry kind of food, in order to sort of preserve or have the energy to go through the winter. So anything you have to add that I didn't mention?
Could you talk a little bit more about which foods to eat, as we talked about which ones not to eat, but which ones, are there certain foods you specifically recommend for the immune system people can make at home?
So yes, as I think generally, in Chinese medicine, one of the ways that we divide or look at foods is by color. And one of the things that we need to have that is a very important part of the immune system in Chinese medicine is what we call the spleen, or the center. And the foods that really support our spleen function are what we call orange foods, right? So the pumpkins and the different squashes, and sweet potatoes and which are very actually very popular. The season is the fall season, right? We all they ripen in this time, and they're ready to eat, and they're very helpful in supporting the spleen. So whether you steam them or you cook them in a stew, these are really, or make a soup, an orange soup, right? Is the time now is the time to eat those types of vegetables. So I like there's a soup that we can maybe post its recipe that's called gypsy soup. I really like it. It's made from a lot of those pumpkin and squashes, butternut squashes, and also other vegetables, and has a little bit of cinnamon in it to kind of make it a little bit warmer and give this kind of warm fall wintry taste to it. So maybe we can post our gypsy soup recipe for everybody to start cooking for this fall and winter.
That sounds wonderful. What do you think about eating raw food in the winter versus cooked food?
In general, I think, in Chinese medicine, we are great believers that raw food shouldn't be the main source of your food. So it could be a side. So as I said, salad is something you eat on the side. It's not that you shouldn't be eating salad. It's really important to eat salad, but it should be only part. Most of what you are eating should be either steamed, cooked, or steamed or cooked veggies. And I think that should be the main aspect of what you're eating. And then you can add a little bit of protein, whatever protein sources you prefer. So,
is there a reason?
The reason
in Chinese medicine that
yes.
they prefer the cooked food?
Yes, absolutely. So the reason is that the Chinese viewed the digestive system like a big cauldron, right? So there's a cauldron, and under the cauldron there's a fire, which we in Chinese medicine call the digestive fire. And that digestive fire, if we throw into the cauldron raw cold foods, the digestive fire needs to work harder in order to first of all warm it and then digest it. So in a sense, we are straining this digestive fire, and if the digestive fire is weak, it is even harder. But even if it is it's pretty strong, it still strains it and weakens it if we do that over a long period of time. So I really believe that generally speaking, a big concept of Chinese medicine is making everything balanced, everything in moderation. So there's never you should always not only eat raw, not only eat cooked, but find the balance that works right for you, right? It's and a lot of times one of the things that we do in Chinese medicine is evaluate the qi or the energy of the patient and tell them, you can eat a little more raw because your stomach fire is, your digestive fire is really strong, so you could eat raw a little bit and that's fine. But others, we can actually feel that their digestive fire is weak, and we see symptoms of different digestive issues, and we have various signs and symptoms looking at the tongue, feeling the pulse that will determine that, no, you have to really be careful that you should be eating more warm food and almost eliminate your raw food. And plus, there's always the influence of the seasons. And that's really important to remember, that we cannot eat the same food in the winter that we eat in the fall. And we can't eat the same food in the summer that we eat in the winter, right? And each season has its own tendency. So winter is colder, everything is cold outside, and naturally I think we tend to eat more warmer foods anyway, right? So cooked foods, and one of the things that's that I always am thinking of is that actually the idea that we need to eat raw foods because that by cooking we are destroying the vitamins or we don't get as much nutrition. I just, even in my Western biological thinking, it doesn't make sense. And I'll explain to you why, of course, sort of in try to do it short. The idea is that when you are eating, we are first chewing, and there's enzymes in our, in the saliva that helps to break the food down. At that point, the vitamins and all the nutrients get broken down to a certain extent. The second phase, it goes into our stomach. A stomach has acidity of 2, right? That's a normal average acidity. And that acidity is almost like cooking. If you know the biochemical or chemistry and biology in general, you know that if you put any protein in an environment of acidity of 2, or you cook it, the effects are the same. So in a sense, our body is breaking down, cooking, right, the proteins, the vitamins, the nutrients already in the stomach. So it anyway breaks down. So what happens is when you are cooking, you are saving some of that, or energy, as we said, in what we're translating into energy, but you are, you're saving the body the energy of transforming it. Anyway, it needs to be transformed. So that's why it doesn't really make sense that you have to eat everything raw, otherwise you're not getting anything. It doesn't make sense to me. Even in not only in Chinese medicine, but also in Western medicine. And so that's why I think that it's not that you shouldn't be eating any raw foods. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's just finding the right balance. But cooked foods give you the most nutrition, I think, much more than raw foods. Okay.
Perfect.